Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. I hope you all are doing good. And it's been a while since I've posted any videos on YouTube because I was caught up with job hunting, starting a new job, etc., etc. But moving forward, I'm planning to create a lot more content. You can expect a lot more videos on the upcoming weeks. And with that being said, a lot of the videos on this YouTube channel were primarily focused on the experience and learnings that I had as a digital marketer. But this video is going to be slightly different. This is going to be really helpful if you are someone who is looking forward to get into digital marketing, but you don't know where to start, what to do, where to focus, what to learn, all those kind of things. So this video is going to be an answer to all of those questions with practical and actionable steps. Now, without any further ado, I just want to give you a quick walk around on, why am I making this video? What is the purpose of making this video? So back in 2023, when I started my journey in digital marketing, I didn't know exactly how to plan things. Like first you do this, then you do this, then you do that. So I didn't know how to do all those kind of things or plan those kind of things, and in fact, it costed me a lot of my time. So the purpose of this video is to give you a path, give you a guide which you can follow to land a digital marketing internship. Now you might be thinking that, bro, why are you making a digital marketing internship roadmap? Like, isn't a job more important? No, not when you're just starting out. And I can justify this because I myself have done two performance marketing internship, and it has benefited me in a lot of ways. I'll give you the number one reason why internships are really important. The number one reason is less commitment and more learnings. The commitment of an internship is very less compared to a full-time job, in terms of responsibilities, in terms of project ownership, in terms of pressure, in terms of everything. A full-time job is a whole different dynamic, but an internship gives you the opportunity to understand where do you fit in. It gives you an opportunity to understand yourself. Let's say, for example, you've done an SEO internship, and halfway you understood that, okay, SEO is not for me, it's not making me curious enough. Then you can easily move towards paid ads. Whereas if you are going towards a job and if you don't like SEO as a career, you cannot switch quickly. And if even if you are switching, you have to justify it to the next employer. And this is the most important thing when you're just starting out, because you don't know, you're a fresh graduate and you don't know how things are done in the corporate world or how things are handled in the real world. So you might have done a lot of courses, or you might have done a digital marketing course, but until and unless you are in the playground, you won't be able to understand whether you'll be able to play or not. So internship is the perfect opportunity that will help you to understand where do you fit in, will you be able to handle this job or not, or is this field making you curious enough or not. So that's the number one reason. Second reason is confidence. See, the confidence an internship gives you to attend interviews for a full-time job is immense. I myself have done two performance marketing internship, as I mentioned earlier, and after doing those internships, it gave me like very good confidence to attend interviews, because I had explored a little bit of everything in performance marketing. Like, I learned the basics of Google Ads, I learned the basics of Meta Ads, a little bit of reporting, a little bit of client communication, a little bit of client audit. So I knew all of these basic things, so that I could I could easily get into a role where, an entry level role or a 6 months or 1 year experience role. So let's say, for example, you have done two internships, let's say performance marketing internships, and then you are applying for a job in a company where they're hiring for candidates who have like 0 to 1 year of experience. So you might be facing a lot of competition, but if you are smart enough, if you have created a portfolio, if you have created a resume that stands out, cracking that interview is like this. You can easily crack those interviews because you have real life project experience, whereas those students coming from as a fresh graduate from those institutes, be it digital marketing institutes, they don't have real life experience. They might have worked on some projects, but internship gives you a whole different viewpoint. It gives you a lot of things to talk about in interviews, and it gives you opportunity to explore yourself and learn more. I hope you understood what is the importance of at like doing an internship, and why it is really helpful for your career. So without any further ado, let's get into the content. Like what are we going to discuss today, what are the topics that are going to be covered. So let's get into the depth. So as I mentioned, this video is a practical roadmap video on how to land your first digital marketing internship. So that is this video all about. So let's discuss about the content of this video. As I mentioned, it's a practical roadmap, which means that I'll be covering all of the things that you have to do on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis for the next 60 to 90 days, which means 12 weeks, and so that you can land an internship. So this video is going to be divided into 12 weeks, where I'll be explaining like what do you have to do on week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. Like this is the most important thing. This is where people go like uh, in a very vague way. They don't understand like what to do first, then what to do, how much to learn, what to learn, like how much is enough, because you can't say that you have to learn everything about digital marketing in order to get a digital marketing internship or a job, because that's what you have to understand. And the second thing that we'll be covering is this is the part one of this video, where I'll be covering all the learning things, because like how to be eligible enough to like qualify for an internship or a job, right? Like what are the things that you have to learn, what are the basics about what are the basics that you have to learn. All those kind of things will be discussed in the part one of this video. Part two is going to be interview prep, where most of the content will be focused on how to land an internship, like how do you search for internships, how do you apply for internships, if you get shortlisted, how do you prepare for interviews, what kind of questions will be asked, how to answer those questions, and what are the type of questions that will be asked in interviews. All those sort of things will be discussed in the second part of this video, and I'll be very specific, and I won't be generic like you have to do this, you have to do that. I won't be generic, I'll be very specific towards digital marketing, and that video is going to be really helpful, and I'll try my best to make it really valuable to you guys. So I don't want you guys to miss any videos, so please make sure that you subscribe to my channel, and yeah, let's keep going. Now coming to the second part, like who should watch this video, right? Like or how do you make sure that this video is for me or not? So the first thing is that if you are serious about starting a career in digital marketing, then you can watch this video. If you are into some, like if you are a recent college graduate, or if you are in the final year of college, from the age of let's say 18 to 24, who are really looking forward to build something valuable, and they want to be successful in the long term, they want to build skills that that generate value in the long term, and are not looking for some money making gigs or hacks, then you are welcome, you can watch this video, because this thing takes effort. For me to say these things, whatever I'm discussing in this video, it's very easy, but from a practical and implementation point of view, this is going to be not that easy. It's going to be a little bit hard, but you can do it. Second thing is folks who have at least 3 days to invest in learning. I've met people, I've met students saying that, bro, I want to learn digital marketing, but I don't have enough time. I have this thing to do, that thing to do, I have a lot more other things to do. But let me tell you something. If you want to like get into a job, or if you want to get a good internship at a good company, there is no secret sauce. Like it's all about how are you utilizing the 24 hours you have. It's all about that, and how smartly are you utilizing it. So if you have time, if you have at least, I would say, 3 hours, if you have 3 hours a day to invest, then you are welcome, you can watch this video. Third is folks already learning digital marketing from any institute or online, I mean any platforms like HubSpot or anything like that. So I've met students saying that, bro, I'm learning digital marketing from this institute, but I don't think that they have any idea what they're teaching. So I had a friend who called me like 6 to 7 months back, and he was saying that, bro, I'm planning to enroll to this institute, and they called me and they shared me their brochure and all. They told me their fee structure. So can you just go through this brochure, try and understand what how good are they? But he said me that he feels like it's a good institute, because they were providing certifications from Google, Meta, Microsoft and all. And at that point itself I understood, okay, what is he saying? So literally these institutes are charging for courses that these platforms offer for free, like Google, Meta, Microsoft. All of these platforms offer these courses for free. If you log into, if you sign up to, Google skill shop, you can access all these courses for free. So they are charging money for those courses. I've heard about some of these institutes. So if you are directionless, if you feel like your institution is directionless, then you can watch this video, so that you can get a better understanding of how to plan things out. So that are the three things that you would need in order to, watch this video. Then only I think that this video will be helpful for you. So getting into the next thing, now this third point is really important, and it gives a better clarity about yourself. Like, it gives you a better understanding about yourself, like where do you stand. Okay, so you have to be very clear on these three things. The first thing is, where am I now? It means that, do you know anything about digital marketing, or is it like somebody told you that digital marketing is a great career, it is a very it is a booming field, you can work from home, you can make a lot of money, you can do freelancing, all of those kind of things. If that's the only thing that like, try to get a bit understanding of digital marketing career. Like, try to read blogs, try to read articles. So what kind of stage are you at right now? Do you know anything about digital marketing? Like, have you watched some videos about digital marketing? You understand, like, okay, this is digital marketing. You understand a little bit of basic of digital marketing. Okay, so the second thing is, where do I want to go? It's simple. You want to land an internship, right? So that's the goal. And third thing is, how much time can I give? This means two things. One, how much time can you give on a daily basis? Is it 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 hours? So you have to be very clear on that. You have to, really plan things out. It's not like randomly you go on YouTube and you watch some random stuff and you call yourself that, okay, I've learned this thing. It's not like that. You have to really plan things out, because this is one of the biggest mistakes that I made when I was starting out, and as I mentioned earlier, it cost me a lot of my time. So first thing is, okay, how much time can you give on a daily basis? Second thing is, how much time can you give for this, like, in order to land an internship? Minimum, I would say, it will take 60 to 90 days, because you have to learn the fundamentals, you have to prepare for interviews, you have to attend interviews, then you have to get the call back from the recruiter. All those kind of things is not a really quick process. It will take time. You have to be patient, but you have to be consistent enough as well. So let's get to the content. Like, okay, now let's get to the point. How do you learn? What do you learn? Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, we'll be sorting this, 90 days into 12 weeks, as I mentioned earlier. So let's discuss about the first week. What you will be learning on the first week of this program? The first thing that you do is, you don't learn digital marketing. First, you learn marketing. That's the first thing that you do. You don't learn digital marketing, you learn marketing. Because, even I had this misunderstanding, and a lot of people do. When starting, when people say like marketing, many people assume that marketing is advertising. So first try to differentiate, like, try to understand the difference between marketing and advertising. How is marketing different from advertising, and what role does advertisement play in marketing? Is marketing advertising, or advertising is not as marketing? Try to differentiate these things. That's the very first thing that you have to do. Secondly, learn the fundamentals of marketing. When I say learn the fundamentals of marketing, what I mean by that is, learn the definition. Like, what do you mean by marketing? Like, try to understand the definition of marketing. Try to understand, as I mentioned earlier, the difference between marketing and advertising. Try to understand what is a marketing funnel. Within that, what does awareness mean? What does consideration mean? What does conversion mean? What are the what do you mean by STP? Segmentation, targeting, and positioning. What are the 4 P's of marketing? What are the 5 C's of marketing? What makes a person buy a product? This is really important when you learn marketing. Like, try to understand what are the factors that influence a person to buy a certain product, and how does marketing influence that person to buy that product? What do you mean by buyer's journey? So these are the fundamental things that you have to learn in the first week. Now, here is where more than 90% of the students go wrong. What they do is, they go to YouTube and search for a video. Like, let's say I explain this topic, right? STP, so segmentation, targeting, and positioning, and they watch a video, and they think that, okay, they have understood stuff. Okay, now let's watch another video. This is the first category of people. Second category is, even if they've understood what STP is, they'll keep on watching same videos about stp from different creators. So my suggestion is, if you've understood what stp is, or if you have understood what are the four p's of marketing, then there is no point in going to another youtube channel and watching the same content where he or she is explaining things in a different way. If you haven't understood that, then that is fine. But if you have understood the basic of that, there is no point in watching another video where they are explaining the same thing in a different way. Instead, what you have to do is, you have to take a brand in your mind. You have to take a brand in your mind, because if there is no brand, if there is no person, if there is no product or a service, there is no marketing. So whenever you are learning any concept in terms of marketing or digital marketing, you have to learn to connect it with a brand. Let's say, for example, you learned what a marketing funnel is, right? Here I have mentioned a marketing funnel. You have learned what a marketing funnel is. Now that you've understood that there is awareness stage, then you have consideration stage, that then you have conversion stage. What you have to do is, you have to take a brand in your mind. Let's say, for example, boat. Like, it's a headphones brand. So you take bot in your mind, and you're saying that, you assume that you are a marketing manager or a digital marketing manager of bot, and they have launched a new product. Okay, based on whatever you have learned as of now, how would you implement this? Because none of your learnings are going to help you unless and until, I have mentioned this here. Just a second. None of your knowledge are going to help you until and unless you can connect your knowledge with the brand. Because whenever you're joining a company or an agency, you'll be working for clients, or if you're joining a brand, you'll be working for that brand. So it's really important to understand the brand, the product, the market, all those kind of things. So that's the first point. You have to learn to connect it with the brand, and you can implement your learnings in a real world scenario. It will only help you if you can implement your learnings in a real world scenario. That's why I told you that, instead of watching hundreds of videos on one single topic, watch one video, implement, like try to work on a project, like create a sample project, ask ChatGPT to give you an assignment on this particular thing, and create it, learn it. That would be more beneficial for you than watching hundreds of videos on youtube and wasting time. Because watching videos is not equal to learning digital marketing. Learning digital marketing is all about implementing whatever you're learning. Are you able to implement it? That's the most important thing. Okay, now we have our first week. So now you have a better understanding of marketing. You learn the fundamentals of marketing, and it is pretty clear to you, like, what is marketing. All of those things like marketing funnel and those kind of things are clear to you, right? Now, what will you do on week 2, 3, and 4? But before getting into that, I would like to tell you about something else as well. No matter how much you learn, you'll always feel like you haven't learned enough, like you know nothing, and that is normal. No matter how much you learn, you'll always have that feeling of you don't know anything. There's a lot more to learn, which is a good thing as well. You always have to have that curiosity mindset where you know you are hungry to learn more. So that's usual. In fact, you'll learn like 80% of the things when you do an actual job or an internship. You're only learning 20%. While you're doing these courses or watching videos, or those kind of things will only give you 20% of the knowledge. As I mentioned earlier, it's like you're watching the game from the gallery. Playing the game, it's a completely whole different thing, right? So you'll actually play the game when when you actually start doing a job or internship. So that's how it works. So yeah, let's get into the week 2, 3, and 4. So my experience lies in paid ads. That's why this entire presentation is slightly from a paid ads perspective. But if you can follow the same structure, you can tweak the content. If you are into SEO, let's say first week you can go for on page SEO, then second week off page SEO, then third week technical SEO, something like that. My experience lies in paid ads, so that's why this presentation is highly focused towards paid ads. So the first thing is, start with Google ads. Like, try and understand what Google ads is. What are the different campaign types in Google ads? What are the campaign structures? What are the bidding strategies? What are the important metrics in Google ads? What are the account structure? What are the keyword match types? What are extensions in Google ads? These kind of things that you have to learn. Now, When you're learning these things, a lot of the things that you have learned in your week one will be here. You'll be able to connect it with this one, and you'll understand once you start learning. Like just learn what do these things mean, like what are campaign types, what are the objectives, what are bidding strategies. Now, as I mentioned earlier, don't get into the loop of watching a lot of videos on YouTube. Let's say, for example, you understood what bidding strategies are, then there's no point in watching another video where they're explaining the same thing in a different way. But if you're watching another video on, okay, when to use what bidding strategies, okay, when to use maximize clicks, or when to use maximize conversion value, or when to use maximize conversions. So if you are watching that kind of video, then it is helpful. But before that, you have to, as I mentioned earlier, you have to learn to implement it practically with a brand, like considering a brand in your mind. Now, then the question is, like, where do you learn it from? Where do you learn Google Ads and Meta Ads? Sorry, Google Ads. So there are a couple of YouTube channels that I followed and I still follow. So Google Skill Shop is the they have Google Ads course, basic Google Ads course. Then there is the YouTube channel named Senator Viran Ads. It's a very good YouTube channel. He also has, like, he also started a new series of Google Ads course, and it's for paid members. But I believe that it's actually worth it, because I've done in the past in his first YouTube channel videos. And if you're proficient with Hindi, Umar Taskir is the best channel for you. Then there is Aaron Young. Then there is Paid Media Pros and Self-Set PPC. These are some of the YouTube channels that you can follow to learn digital marketing. So the first thing, Google Skill Shop is a platform by Google where you can do certification. Then there is, like, platforms like HubSpot where you can do, online certification. Again, I'm reiterating on this stuff. Please don't get into the loop of watching a lot of videos, because that's definitely not gonna help. Because back in 2023, I watched this guy's video, this Umar Taskir sir's video, Google Ads series. There is like 80 episodes in a playlist, 80 YouTube videos in one playlist about Google Ads. I literally finished it in a week. And on the second week, I didn't remember what I learned. So there's no point in doing that. Always follow what I mentioned, connect it with the brand, try to implement it practically. And here is the most challenging part in your journey, and I believe this is going to be the hardest part, when you're learning digital marketing. And if you have learned to crack this, you'll almost be able to crack, interviews at good companies. And that thing is connecting the dots. What do I mean by this? See, you might have learned campaign types, what are the objectives, what are bidding strategies, what are the important metrics like CTR, you have conversion rates, you learned impression shares, all of these kind of metrics, you learned the formulas, you learned the definitions of these. But when you go to interviews, people generally don't ask you about this definition. Like, they do, but most of them don't. If you're giving interviews in a good company, they don't ask like this. They don't ask the basic question. Instead, they ask you a little more leveled up question, so they understand your base as well. So instead of asking you, what is the mean, what do you mean by CTR? So you explain, okay, CTR is click through rate, and this clicks divided by impression into 100 is the, the formula for CTR. So you mention these kind of things. So instead of this, they'll ask you, let's say, for example, we were running a campaign for the past few weeks, and we are seeing a drop in the conversion rates. Tell me why. Now, this is the question that you might get in interviews. So now you might know, as I mentioned earlier, you might know what CTR is, you might know what conversion rate is, what, what impression share is, what is CPM. You might know about all of these metrics. But if you didn't learn to connect all of these things, you won't be able to answer these questions. And this is by far one of the most important things. You have to understand to, you have to learn to connect the dots. How CTR impacts conversion rates, how conversion rates impact CTR, how, how average order value impacts ROAS. Now, try to understand the connection between these things. You don't have to go very deep into these things, but from a fundamental perspective, try to understand these things. And this is going to be really helpful moving forward if you've learned to, understand the connection between different things. That's one of the most important thing that I had to mention. So try to develop that skill as well. And if you have noticed, I don't know whether if you have noticed this or not, I haven't mentioned every single thing that you have to learn. Like, here I have given you, like, Okay, you have to learn objectives, campaign types, campaign objectives, bidding strategies. I have only like scratched the surface for you, right? I haven't told like very specifically first day you learn this, then you learn this, and this is, you have to live with it. See, back in the school days we used to get, chapter 1, okay, this thing, and for exams we try to narrow it down by learning the most important questions. We have never been taught to learn out of the book, right? Write something in the exam which is out of syllabus. We have never been taught to think out of the box. So when it comes to digital marketing, one of the most important skill set that you can have is the skill to figure out things. This is by far the most important skill that you can have. See, I've only mentioned the you know a broader perspective of things, like how you have to learn, but you have to learn to figure out things. You have to learn to dig deep. Now you learned about bidding strategies. So when I say you have to learn about bidding strategies, try to figure out by yourself that, okay, what are the important things that I have to learn when it comes to bidding strategies? What are the fundamentals that I have to learn when it comes to bidding strategies? Nobody is going to explain you every single thing that you have to learn in terms of, be it anything. So even if you are getting into a full-time job or an internship, nobody is going to spoon feed you everything. Obviously they'll help you, they'll train you, they'll help you understand a lot of things, but you have to give your input as well. Let's say for example you are facing a problem and you're going to your manager. You can't go to your manager saying that, okay, this is the problem. You have to give some of your input as well. Okay, this is the problem that we're facing right now. I think these could be the reasons why this problem is happening, and I think that this solution might help. So now you're giving your input as well. So if you want to give your input from your end, you have to develop the skill of figuring out things. So that's one of the most important skill that you can have as a digital marketer. So let's move forward. So we are in the week 2, 3, and 4. So alongside with learning these things, these fundamentals, I want you to do two more things. First, start reading digital marketing blogs and articles or books related to marketing. This is, I'll tell you how this helps, right? So in digital marketing you learn things in two different ways. First is technical, which where let's say for example you learned how to implement Google Tag Manager on your website. Okay, how to connect Google Tag Manager to your website. Now you watched the video X. Okay, you got the result Y. You implemented it and you got Y. It's like you watched the video, you implemented it, you got the result. But reading books, blogs, and articles doesn't help you in that way. If you develop that as a habit, 6 months down the line or 1 year down the line, your thought process might improve. You'll be able to think in ways where other people can't. Right, let's say for example you started reading books today. You started reading blogs, you started reading one blog every single day. By the time you reach that phase of interviews, you'll have a lot more content than other people to talk about, right? Because you've learned a lot of things, you have read a lot of things, and when after you complete your internship, you'll have even more things to talk about. So it won't have a, you do this thing right now and you get the results, but from a long term perspective you will have enough growth. You will be able to think in different ways that others cannot. So that's one of the most important skill that you have to develop. Start reading books, start reading articles. That is going to be really helpful. It is going to help you stand out. The second thing is slowly start working on your communication skills, because if you want to land internship, first of all you'll have to get selected in the interviews, and most of the interviews are done in English, right? So I'm not saying that you have to master the art of communication. It's not something like that. Like, learn basic English, learn how to introduce yourself in an interview, like how to answer questions like behavioral questions like, why digital marketing, why did you choose digital marketing as your career, or where do you see yourself in 5 years, or what are your strengths and weaknesses. So try to practice these kind of questions. You can see hundreds of videos on YouTube related to these topics, but again, don't go watch hundreds of videos. Watch one. If you think it's good, write it down, write down the way that you are going to explain, like, and practice it every single day. So By the time you reach your 12th week, you'll be prepared enough to attend interviews. You'll be a bit more confident than like preparing the day before the interview. So that's how things work. So once you've understood the fundamentals of Google Ads, you have understood what are the basic things on Google Ads, you connected with the brand, all of those kind of things you did. Try to prepare a Google Ads strategy. Again, you take a brand in your mind, a brand came to you. Okay, what Google Ads campaign type would you suggest? What bidding strategy would you suggest? How much budget will you allocate for awareness, for consideration, conversion? Remember, we learned in the first week. It's all connecting the dots. Okay, what kind of funnel approach would you take, and what kind of creatives would you take? How many ad groups will be there? How many campaigns will be there? And rationalize all of these things. If you're saying like, okay, I'm putting 30% of the budget into awareness, 30% into consideration, and rest 40% into conversion, why are you putting like that? And this is very important. Even if you're going to interviews, if you are talking to clients in a company, giving the rationale for why are you doing certain things is really important. So prepare a Google Ads strategy. You can see videos on YouTube on, you can, how to prepare Google Ads strategy. By this I mean that prepare a deck, right? Prepare a deck. Okay, I'm preparing for this particular brand. This is the brand that I'm preparing Google Ads strategy for. This is their budget, this is their marketing objective, and this is how I'm planning. So as I mentioned earlier, everything won't be served on your plate. You have to learn to figure out these things. Okay, so now let's take a quick recap of where do we stand right now. Okay, so week 1 we learned about marketing. We understood the basics of marketing. Week 2 we learned about Google Ads. We tried to understand the connection between these metrics. How are these things related to each other? And after learning Google Ads, you tried preparing a strategy for a brand. Now, what do you do on week 5 and 6? Same process. Start learning meta ads. If you are moving towards paid ads, that's the thing that you can do. Start learning meta ads. Now, it's the same process that you have to follow, like that what you did for Google Ads. Try to understand what are the campaign types. Why do you use meta ads? Like, for what kind of brands do you suggest meta ads? What are the bidding strategies in meta ads? How does it differ from Google Ads? And what are the creative types? What kind of creatives would you use, and at what kind of scenarios? If a brand is coming to you for a marketing campaign, what kind of creatives would you suggest for them, and why would you suggest for them? Learn the basics of meta ads. Again, where do you learn it from? You have different types of platforms. As I mentioned earlier, Senator Viran Ads, he has an ongoing course on meta ads, and Umar Taskir, he also has an entire playlist on meta ads. And other than this, you have this course from Meta as well on meta ads. Like, that's a pretty detailed course on how, like, everything is mentioned on the course, everything about the fundamentals that you need. Again, you have to implement it, you have to connect it with a brand. Second thing is, prepare a meta ad strategy. As you prepared a Google Ad strategy, now you might have improved, right? See, the more you learn, the more your thought process will improve. If I see the strategy that I prepared, like, let's say 6 months ago, I would be like, okay, I can do a lot more better right now, right? Because I've learned a lot more. I've worked on a couple of more projects, so I know like how to make it better. Like, okay, now 2 years down the line, if I'm keep learning, if I'm keeping on learning things, I'll be able to do better than I'm doing right now, right? So that's how it works. You have to create a meta ads strategy. Again, these things are available on YouTube. You can go for it, you can search for this, and you can prepare a meta ad strategy. But you have to understand the rationale. Don't just copy paste whatever the creator is telling you. Okay, for this campaign you can use maximize clicks. Now you are using maximize clicks as bidding strategy, but you don't understand the rationale between like rationale behind using that. Then there is no point in learning unless and until you understand the rationale of doing things. So after week 5 and 6, week 7, you have to learn about media planning and strategy. Now, what do you mean by media planning and strategy? Media planning means how do you plan things out, right? If a client comes to you, in simple terms, if a client comes to you with a budget of, let's say, 5 lakh rupees a month, how would you proceed? That's simply media planning. What are the numbers that you're going to deliver? Where are you going to run your ads? On what basis are you going to run your ads? You have to prepare a detailed paid media strategy. So the YouTube channel that I mentioned, Senator Viran Ads, he has his own paid media strategy video. It's like 1 hour long, but that video is really helpful. I've created one or two strategies by watching that video. That video is really helpful, guys. You can watch that. You can watch that, but again, you have to understand the rationale between these things. The objective is not to copy paste whatever he is writing in that deck. You have to put like your brain as well, right? Your brain into work. So what are the things that you would mention on that deck? You will mention about the brand. First of all, you have to understand about the brand that is coming to you. You have to do a deep analysis, what their products are, what is their pricing, what are the customers saying, what kind of product they have, what are their USPs, right? What are the features, what are the benefits? You have to understand all these kind of things. And what's the market like? Is it booming, right? Does that product have demand? All of these things you have to understand. Then you have to understand about the competitors. What are competitors doing? What are their USPs? What are their what are their customers talking about their product online? Are we solving any of the problems that they are not solving? All those kind of things. What are the target audience? What are the audience persona? You've learned about segmentation, targeting, and positioning in the first week. Now you'll be able to connect all of those learnings into this thing. You have to understand about the target audience. What are their demographics? What are their psychographics? What kind of people they are? Where do they live? What are their hobbies? What are their interests? All of these things you have to mention in the deck. It gives you a clear understanding. And after that, what are the platforms that you will target? Why are you targeting that certain platform? Now what are the creatives that type will you use? Because now you are mentioning that, okay, I'm using carousel for this particular ad. So you can mention, why are you using carousel? Okay, to show the products in different ways. You can mention that. Or I'm using video ads. So you can mention that, okay, I'm using video ads because it's helped better in storytelling, right? It gives you a lot of time to explain about your product. So you can mention those things. And what would be the messaging? How would be the budget allocation? How much budget will go to Google ads? How much budget would go to Meta ads? You don't have to be perfect in all of these things, but you have to do this. This will only improve your thought process. Only these things are going to improve your thought process. Just watching videos on YouTube is not going to help you improve your thought process, understand your thought process, all those kind of things. Now when you create this paid media strategy and you prepare in a very clean and neat way, and if you send this to recruiters, they already understand, okay, where do you stand right now? What is your knowledge? What is your capacity? You're not just hitting at them saying that, okay, I want a job. You're going with something in your hand, which we will discuss in the next video for sure in detail, because this next video is going to be full of those things. So yeah, week 7, focus on paid media strategy. As I mentioned, try to understand how do you prepare a strategy, how a media plan is prepared. What are the things that you implement in media plan? Learn to figure out those kind of things. And finally, 8 to 12 weeks, revise your learnings. You might have started forgetting what you learned in the first week. Like, try to revise your learnings, right? And sharpen your knowledge. Learn the basics of GA4 and GTM. Learn the basics of Google Analytics 4. They have a course on their website, Google Analytics course. You can do that. Just try to understand the fundamentals. What are events? What is traffic? All those kind of basic things you can learn from those website. And finally, start applying for internships, which we will discuss in detail in the next video. How do you apply for internships? How to get internships? How do you prepare for interviews? How do you attend interviews? How do you answer those questions? What kind of questions will be asked? All those kind of things will be mentioned in the covered in the next video, part 2. So I hope you got some kind of value from this video. So as I mentioned earlier, guys, learn to figure out things. From this, I have given you a holistic idea of how things has to be done. From this, try to prepare your own syllabus in detail. Like, put this as the foundation and build on it, right? So I believe you got some kind of value from this video. You got better clarity. So if you have any doubt related to this, you can ping me on LinkedIn or Instagram, or you can mention your thoughts in the comment section, whether you loved this video. If you have any doubts, So I believe that's all about it. I will see you in the next one. Thank you, guys.